Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Ogunshaki, and of course it's a beautiful Monday morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies, and we're starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Tinubu, Atiku, bicker over fake news and hate speech. Sponsoring fake news against me won't help Atiku and Obi. That's coming from Tinubu. Tinubu trying to avoid scrutiny over $460,000 and that's coming from Atiku. Look within for fake INEC statement on Tinubu. Labour Party tells APC. Ashatima's insult on Obi breach peace accord. That's according to Labour Party campaign. Catholic bishops seek issues-based campaigns. Hate speech greatest danger to unity and stability of Nigeria. That's coming from ACF. Says Governor Autumn's apology over anti-Fulani's comment a relief. My statistic on settling opposition, that's coming from OB. And you can see the stories inside Vanguard newspaper on page 5. Still inside on business, we have banks' consumer loans decline 17% as CBN tightens money supply. Interest rates are trending higher. Customers are now resisting bank. That's according to bankers. On page 8, we have 2023 budget threatened as crude oil output drops 7.4% to 1.37 MBD. Still on page 8, we have currency redesign will protect Nigerians without bank accounts as coming from CBN. Oil marketers seek end to dollar-denominated port charges. That can be seen on page 8. On page 6, we have Kaduna bandits demand 10 million naira to release victims' cause. Gunmen kill ex-Benue Polytechnic deputy rector and local government information officer. Stories above. We have media roundtable on industry regulation holds in Lagos today. You can see that on page 29. NDLEA naps wanted drug baron and Lagos hotelier Ademola Kazeem. And on page 12, we have why Nigeria must partner private sector for education development. That's coming from Oshibajo. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, issues in 2023 elections. Electoral Act 2022, outbreach of pre-election practice direction threatens 2023 elections. That can be seen on page 14 of the Vanguard newspaper. Away from there, we move to the Punch. And the Punch paper this morning is leading with national carrier. Domestic airlines ask court to terminate federal government utopian deal. Hairpiece Asman Airlines seek withdrawal of Nigerian air license. AGF Malami, Ethiopian Airlines, Sirica, Nigerian Air listed as defendant. You can see that on page 2. And here we have two photo stories with a writer that says a debate presidential candidate lambasts federal government for corruption and insecurity. On page 30, we have flood affected 3.2 million Nigerians, 1.4 million displaced. That's according to United Nations. Missy B's woman found killed by Lagos one-chance robbers. Celestial Church sacks guard, apologizes for attacking Punchman. You can see that on page 6. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, our stories above on page 8, we have COVID-19 orphaned 371,100 Nigerian children. That's according to report. And you can see that on Punch. Away from there, we move to The Nation. And The Nation is leading with APC. Tinubu remains a solid, reliable candidate. Fake news won't help opposition candidate to engage Nigerians in diaspora. And here we have a quote. It says, we shall no longer allow the prevailing recklessness and utter disregard for professional judgment to continue unchallenged. End of quotes. And we have Wike others not keen on trust with Atiku. And lastly, on the front page of The Nation, we have my surgery experience by Vice President Oshibajo. You can see that on page 8 of The Nation newspaper. Lastly, let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian this morning is leading with World Diabetes Day, WDD. Over 10 million Nigerians have diabetes, kills more than COVID-19 and cancer. Condition major cause of blindness, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, lower limb amputation, says Emson. Physical exercise restores brain insulin sensitivity, may protect against type 2 diabetes. Stakeholders see clarity on implementation of sugar tax. You can see that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. On page 4, we have petrol scarcity. Marketers accuse Nimasa MPA of dollarizing transaction. As stories above, we have Uduahan declares support for Okowa, seeks unity in PDP. You can see that story on page 8. Most Nigerian roads are expired, says farmer. You can see that on page 9. And lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we are sponsoring fake news won't win election, says APC and PCC. And you can see that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages this morning. Join us after the break with our guest. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Ogunshakin. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Aliu Mohammed. He's now the CEO of Magnet Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, Damlola. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you very, very much. I hope you didn't experience a lot of traffic in Lagos this week.
Not so much, except for areas that have petrol stations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fuel scarcity, obviously, and it is affecting traffic in some parts of the city.
Because some people were complaining during the weekend because of the, they're saying maybe because it's close to Christmas now, whereas experiencing the usual heavy traffic in Lagos. But let's move straight to the front page. So the campaign teams of the presidential candidate of the three leading political parties yesterday were locked in bickerings over fake news and hate speech. Of course, the director, media and publicity of Tinubu in a statement accused Atiku and Obi of sponsoring hate speech in order for it to, favor them. What do you think about, these bickerings?
Well, bickerings are part of politics. At times like this, we are approaching elections and politicians concur and conjure different stories. And then the papers circulating about the APC presidential candidates are not new. They came out when he was governor of Lagos State, and some people, I remember that Chief Ganifa and me went to court on these documents, over these documents, seeking to get a clear judicial definition of the. As far as I'm concerned, things like this are normal. But if you ask me, I want to advise that we should concentrate our energy more on issue-based discussions, not discussions that tend to rubbish candidates and contestants for political offices. Because if you look at the country today, a lot of things are happening to people. You were in Lagos during the week when a beautiful lady, you may attribute her reason for committing suicide to relationship or whatever, but we have people who are also starving, genuinely starving. They can't feed. Families that can't feed, they can't run their lives. So we should concentrate more on issues that will lift the standard of living of Nigerians. Nobody wants to know if somebody has been a drug lord or whatever. That can only be important to those who are contesting for political offices, who want to run down themselves down on such issues. But the truth of the matter is that the situation of things in Nigeria is not a cheerful one. People should concentrate more on how to redeem and rescue the ordinary Nigerians who are suffering severely from the harsh economic effects in this country as at today. I am not ready to read about whether somebody had been a drug lord or whether somebody was, as a custom officer, stole money and all that. No. We need a genuine leader. When I talk about a genuine leader, somebody who is not here to pretend that the country is good. I don't know whether those in government know what I am saying, because they seem to be far away from the people. They are in the confines and comforts of the presidential villas, government house, and all that. They don't know what is happening to the ordinary people. You understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about debates, we should come up with issue-based debates that will obviously help and lift the standard of living of Nigerians. What concerns me, whether somebody had been a drug lord.
All right, let's talk about this one. According to a report, $460,000 was withdrawn from the APC presidential candidate's accounts. And according to people now, they're asking that it comes clean about his complicity in the alleged illicit drug-related forfeiture. That's the $460,000.
Like I said, the issue of the 460,000 withdrawal remains a speculation to me, because you must have access to somebody's account to be able to say that he has withdrawn so much amount from that account. So as far as I'm concerned, it can just pass as a speculation. It may be the truth, but if you are alleging, you must be able to prove whatever it is that you are alleging. The APC presidential candidate has been very controversial. Don't forget the bullion van episode. Nothing happened. The same thing, even if you tell me now that he has withdrawn 1,000,000, 1,000 or whatever, pounds, sterling or dollars, nothing will happen. That is the kind of society that we have here. People don't get punished for whatever offense they commit, and that alone gives room for lawlessness, absolute lawlessness. So if you like, you can shout from now till tomorrow. I can tell you that nothing will happen, even if somebody has withdrawn a huge amount that contravenes the law of Nigeria. But it is not the best way to go. I am more concerned about the present problems in Nigeria. You can see that there has been fuel scarcity. Some petrol stations are now selling at 200 naira per litre. Nobody is addressing that issue, as if we don't have a government in place. Somebody from the so-called NNPC Limited came out and said openly that the push by the public that fuel must be sold at 170 naira per litre is unacceptable to them. That is a product that we have in this country. We have crude oil. We can manage our refineries very well. We have to go and be importing refined products from abroad instead of building our own refineries and ensure that people have access to petroleum products at reasonable and cheap rates. They came out to tell us that it is not feasible to sell fuel for 170 naira per litre. I don't know what is going on, but somebody somewhere is the head of this government, and nobody is talking. It is as if we have a less government in place. Nobody is talking. We've not heard of the vice president since the traveled and on yesterday. Not any serious statement from the office of the vice president. What kind of a country are we running? The truth of the matter is that people are suffering. A bag of rice is how much? 52,000 naira. Now, Christmas is approaching. By Christmas, it will hit close to 60,000. Is that to somebody who earns 30,000 naira minimum wage? Can he ever be able to buy a bag of rice? The answer is no. So we must, I am sensing a kind of revolution if the government fails to take action on the current terrible situation of the people in Nigeria. The living standard is terrible. People can't eat. Unfortunately, these people have no access to those in government. It is you and me that are also suffering the same fate that they look up to for assistance, forgetting that we are all caught up in the same trap of reckless and irresponsible governance in Nigeria. So we should stop diverting all these. Tinubu withdrew so much. I am not supporting it, I'm not supporting it, but we must concentrate more on how to uplift the standard of living of Nigerians. I sit down in my house and I get text messages. If a married man, a family man, could look up to people and send messages to please send me 2,000 just to buy food, then it means that situation is terrible. The government is ignoring it, but it is a time bomb that is likely to explode with time.
All right, talking about one of the issues that we're experiencing in Nigeria, of course, is doctors leaving the country. And the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage, said that the migration of doctors to foreign countries is actually not peculiar to Nigeria. And according to him, they are looking for a way to see how those who have left Nigeria can still make virtual services to Nigeria itself. What do you think about this coming from the Minister?
That's a consolatory statement that is coming after the evil deed has been done. An average doctor in Nigeria works for how many hours? 12, 14 hours. We have only morning shifts and night shifts in Nigeria. But abroad, some of them work for lesser hours and they earn a lot of money. They can decide to work in 2 hospitals. 4, 5 hours, they are off. They go to another hospital, 4, 5 hours, they are off. But in Nigeria, you can't do that. You are fully engaged for 12 hours and you are paid peanuts. So why would a doctor who knows what he can earn abroad remain in Nigeria? I wouldn't blame them. This is part of the need for government to always sit down and think about the welfare of the people. I was at Lasut on Friday to see a dentist. You need to stand there and see the number of people that were either brought in dead or those that died at the emergency ward. You will just be there, you will hear a big shout when you hear that somebody has passed on. They brought a man into Lasut. There was no space for him at the emergency ward. They came out to test him, tried to put a drip in his body. In 30 minutes, the man was gone. So, apart from doctors leaving Nigeria, we must equip our hospitals very well. The president of the country can't even take treatment in Nigeria. He was in London for 2 or 3 weeks. He just came yesterday. He has confidence in the medical system in Nigeria. Abroad, I used to think that when people say they are going abroad for medical checkup, they go there to spend a lot of money. No. Your journey to a medical checkup starts from the health center in your area, in London or in the UK. Go and check this out. You can't just go to any hospital and say, I want to do medical checkup. No, it starts from the health center in your area. And those health centers are well equipped with more than 15 doctors on duty at any time. They are ready to attend to you for as long as you want. Not in Nigeria where you sit down, you tell a doctor that you have malaria and he starts treating you. No, you must go through a test before you take one drug abroad. But here you sit down, the doctor doesn't even have time to talk to you. Yes, I have malaria, or I have pain in my body. He will put malaria, not minding if it is something else. And they will start treating you for malaria. It is not done abroad.
Are you saying our doctors are underqualified? Or?
I'm not, look, equipment, I'm talking about equipment now. Then the urge to make more money within the hours of their duty. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So we must build a world-class, acceptable medical institutions in Nigeria. Go to any health center in Lagos. They don't even have drugs, not to talk of treating people. All the health centers in Lagos have become mere reference medical posts. So we apart from encouraging the doctors, we must build acceptable medical centers where people can be tested at a cheap rate. You see somebody today, you hear that he's dead tomorrow. It's because he cannot afford the bills. At Lasut, there are 2 test centers there. There is one generally for everybody. There is another private one. If you are referred to that place, what you are going to pay will be far higher than what you pay at the general one. I don't want to mention the name of the so-called owner. But why should that be? People should have access to medical facilities. They should have access to medical treatment at a very cheap rate. Not that some will be for the rich, another will be for the poor. So all these combined problems militates against the performances of Nigerian doctors. But once they are abroad, they have the right equipment, they are in the right atmosphere, they thrive and they do better than their colleagues in Nigeria. So we should have to improve the standard of our medical centers. If you work in a place where you are not motivated, you don't have access to good equipment, you can't perform. It is normal.
All right, still talking about, still on health, we have, today is World Diabetes Day, and according to information, over 10 million Nigerians have diabetes, and according to the information we've heard, it kills more than COVID and also cancer. This is just in Nigeria. What do you think about this?
It is just in line with what I just said. Abroad, people have been tutored on the need to test themselves for deadly diseases like diabetes. But in Nigeria, you still see old men, old women out there with diabetes, and they don't know what to do. Number one, we have to educate the people on what to do when you have some feelings of diabetics. But if you are just there, you don't know what to do, and you don't have money to go to the hospital, it's like a death sentence for that patient. So we have to educate the people and let them know what to do at any given time when they feel funny. That education is not there. An illiterate who lives in the village doesn't even know whether there is diabetes or not. All he wants to do is to eat his pounded yam in the morning, take eba in the afternoon, take fufu at night. To him, that is his way of life. But we must educate them and let them know that there are things you should do when you feel funny within you. Without that, you can't. If you look at these death rates, they are more in the local areas. Educated people know what to do at any given time. No, I mean, I know that I can do my own diabetes test in my house. I have the kit. I have, BP monitor. I have that. So when I feel funny, I go there, do all the tests, and get the results. But you can't say that about an illiterate. And we have more illiterates in Nigeria than the educated people. Some are even educated, but they behave 100% like illiterates. So we need this education in local languages and in English and Pidgin. So doing that will help reduce these death rates that we have in Nigeria. Not only in Nigeria, African countries. In African countries, an average black man believes in carbohydrates, eba, amala, pounded yam, and then you put palm wine, not knowing the content of that palm wine.
I guess you really can't blame them because that's how.
No, they will tell you that their forefathers did that, and they lived for 100 years. But times are changing. Today we have climate change. We are in a situation where rain started falling from January till November. So things are changing. Nobody planned for the climate change. And today we have so many cities and states in Nigeria that are flooded because we didn't plan on how to tackle that situation. But it has happened. So all those old beliefs that if you eat pounded yam in the morning, eba in the afternoon, amala at night, you are now a strong man.
Top it up with rice in the midnight.
So things are changing indeed. We must be careful and take care of our health.
All right, lastly, let's quickly look at this one, and our time is fast spent. And of course, Nigerians dwindling average oil output, including condensate, it dropped year on year by 7.4% to 1.37 million barrels per day. And according to reports, this is currently threatening the 2023
It
budget.
will do. Government should look inwards. The oil thefts on the high seas is beginning to affect us. You know, those who are doing this, the military and those in government. You and I cannot afford to buy badges with which you are going to steal crude oil. No, I can't afford to buy it. You can't afford to buy. Those who can afford to buy it are either in government or in the armed forces. Government should check oil theft. Otherwise, it will be difficult to fund the 2023 budget without foreign loans. Why do we have a government that is always shifting when there are problems? No, once there are problems, the government should go ahead and tackle those problems head on. We have identified those who are stealing the crude that we are talking about, but nobody is able to do anything about them. We read about the badges that they saw ferrying crude oil. Instead of detaining them, they said they destroyed those badges with the oil that was stolen inside. Does that make sense to you? It's like you are destroying the evidence that you have to prosecute the criminals, which to me doesn't make any sense. So we must check oil theft, crude oil theft, because the rate of export now is crashing. You don't even have enough to meet the OPEC quota due to theft. So we have to be careful the way we look at those who are stealing our resources and selling and keeping the money in their foreign accounts. Otherwise, it will be difficult to fund the 2023 budgets without borrowing.
I think I have to chip in this one. Last week we had an interview with Adamu Garba, and what he talked about, we mentioned these borrowings, and he said that the APC, they've actually done well with the government when we told him to rate the country, this APC's government, and he said they've done well, and borrowings from foreign countries and the fact that they're able to borrow shows that the country is credible and they can really pay back.
That is unacceptable to me. You are borrowing money for the children that are yet to be born to pay. It's like you are selling off the country. We have borrowed money from China now. They are looking for a way to encroach into our commercial ventures just to recover their. Don't forget that they've taken over some major institutions in other countries that borrowed from them. Once you borrow from anybody, government, corporate organization, you are like a slave to those who borrowed you money. If they say you can't sleep, you can't sleep. So to me, borrowing is not a sign of achievement. It is a sign of failure. It's not a sign of strength. It is a sign of weakness as far as I'm concerned. How can you say that they have done well by borrowing money to do railways? And those railways are not the trains that will ply the railways are not working. Abuja-Kaduna train, is it working now? No. The one that goes from Ibadan, Abeokuta, goes just once a day. And you have borrowed money. I wanted to go to Abeokuta. I went there very early. They said I should come at 7 a.m. I can't buy a ticket in advance. I went to Agege. The train didn't come. And you have borrowed money to do that train. You cannot ensure that the trains meet their schedule in different places. I had to leave. I bought a ticket. I couldn't use it. 7,000 naira. I couldn't use that ticket. So if you have borrowed money and set up an infrastructure that is not working, how do you want to pay back? You are going to enslave the people. In the next few years, I can see the Chinese government making efforts to come into Nigeria and seize some of our assets if we are not careful. So if a government has borrowed and you are saying that that government has tried and he was able to borrow because he is credible, the country is credible, the government is credible, that is like a fake assessment of that government. It is a complete sign of failure, not a sign of strength, not a sign of achievement. So we should sit down and reprioritize our goals, whether we want to remain a debtor nation. Obasanjo, in his I don't want to use a bad word, negotiated for debt recovery and debt forgiveness. And our debt was reduced to the barest minimum. Some were cancelled before he left office. Go back and look at our record of debt today. You feel sorry for Nigeria that we have borrowed so much and our economy is still not doing well.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking is Mrs. She says, it's either one thing is too hot for comfort, or the other is too hot for comfort. I'm sick and tired of hearing your ex name in this house. And Mr. tried to defend, said, but Maria. Mrs. said, no, but. And Mr. says, okay there, this coffee is too hot for Maria.
Why would the husband be discussing his ex with the wife at home? It is wrong and unacceptable. I support Mrs. I support her, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ali Mohammed, for joining us this
You're most welcome.
And is now the CEO of Magnet Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. We just reviewed and analyzed some of the stories on the front pages with us. Now, to get more of our top stories, you can follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. It's right from